and then there were none. Okay, in this video, I'm going to say who I think the killer is from every chapter. And also, I just read this book, so this is probably me rereading the book. Chapter 1. There were 10 Indians on a table, each represents everyone in this book. We're introduced to the first character, Mr. Justice Grave. Nothing really suspicious about him yet for me. He was a man who was obsessed with the Indian island for no reason. Now we're introduced to the lovely Mrs. Vera Clayton. From her description, she seems a bit crazy. She had an obsession with a man named Hugo, but apart from that, she seems pretty normal in this chapter. Then Philip Lombard. Now I'm suspicious of his story. It makes no sense. It's not like he really had a reasonable story to begin with. In his case, he got paid to come to the island. And apart from that, even without the island, this guy seems like he has actually taken 1 or 2 lives before. Now we have Miss Emily Brent. She's an old suspicious lady. For me, she gives off very suspicious vibes. Now we have General MacArthur. He's just a nice old man for me. There's nothing really much I can say about him. He seems more like someone I can trust in this chapter, unlike Emily and Lombard. Dr. Armstrong, the same goes for him. I refuse to believe someone who saves life is capable of taking one. I might be wrong though, but that is exactly how I feel. Then we have Tori Maston. In fact, who is this guy? I don't really care about him. To the next. Now we have Mr. Blow. Is it Mr. Blow or Mr. Blue? Mr. Blue. Mr. Blue. We have Mr. Blue. I really don't know where to classify this man, but I'm really suspicious of him. So all these characters make up the 10 Indians on the table. And then there were none. Chapter 2. Now we know my prime suspects from the last chapter, which is Blow and Lambert. Now let's focus on this with that in mind. Now fast forward, we are in the island. We met Mr. Rogers and Mrs. Rogers. These two are the housekeepers. Now they are very suspicious, but I don't think it's because of them. I'm usually very suspicious of butlers due to Scary Movie. And it doesn't help Miss Rogers' case that she's the one taking care of the food that everybody's eating. So she scores very high on my sauce level. She looks like the killer. She's even higher than Blow on my charts. Now, a voice started accusing all of them for being murderers. Is this true? I don't really know. But that's what the voice said. Now, at this point, I don't really have anyone to blame for being the killer because they are all guilty. Now, Lombard was the one who found where the voice came from. This was from a gramophone. Now, does him finding this mean he's suspicious? I doubt. But it's just something to keep in mind. Anthony Marston died. And it's not like he was a suspect anyway. I never really cared about him from the start. But it turns out his death wasn't natural. Somebody put something in his whiskey and he died. But who was it? No one really has an answer. But I tell you, Mr. Armstrong and Mr. Rogers are really looking like my prime suspect now. But I don't have the proof. So right now is probably Dr. Armstrong and Mr. Rogers that are my prime suspect. And then there were none. Chapter 5. So now they decided to leave the island. But one thing, the boat wasn't coming. Right now, I have no one to suspect because they all look guilty. So some more than the others. So while they were eating, Dr. Armstrong decided to lay another bad news to them. Mrs. Rogers, the wife of Mr. Rogers, had passed on in her sleep. Very suspicious, Mr. Armstrong. I tell you, that is very suspicious. You know you're already in my books. Mr. Armstrong said her heart failed to beat, but what caused it to fail to beat is the question. It's at this point, Philip Lombard realized that the boat isn't coming and they all knew they were trapped. Most of them agreed. Mr. Rogers pulled Dr. Armstrong aside to tell him that things were really going wrong, that the 10 Indians on the table I told you about are now 8. Now my prime suspect is Mr. Rogers. He seems really awfully quiet for someone whose wife just died. Why isn't he trying to run away from the house? Maybe at least I expected a bit of craziness, like Your wife just died now. Why? But nevertheless, now with the boat still not arriving, everyone's suspicion were high, but they were not high enough. Why? It seems like they were still processing everything. Well, I'm gonna say it. Vera is the only one I don't suspect. Why? Because she has nothing to hide from me. She seems like she wants off the island immediately, unlike others. Some are even trying to have fun. Some of the men decided to go search the island to find the killer. That he probably might be in a cave hiding somewhere in the island. Well, they found nothing after all that search. While searching the island, they found the old general sitting in his spot. When they came to talk to him, he said, "There is little time, so little time. I really must insist no one disturbs me." This general is that guy in the beginning that I told you that I trusted because he's an old man, doesn't really have anything to hide. So they left him alone. Now, this general officially added himself to my list for saying this because what he said is really suspicious. What does it mean? There's no time. Is he crazy or is he waiting for something? But after a while, Vera, who I trust, strode toward the old man and she asked him, "What are you waiting for?" He said, "The end." It also turns out that Philip Lombard has a gun. Why? That puts him very high on my list. He was already at the top of my list, but I think he's way higher now just because of he has a gun. Now everyone is suspicious, but that is not our goal. Our goal is to find the killer. Now General MacArthur is gone, the old man from the previous scene. I knew was next, but who was it that took away his life? Everyone was having a discussion about who wasn't there. Now it turns out the 8 Indians that were on the table are now 7. Now the judge, Mr. Justice, came to the conclusion that the death of Anthony Marston, Mrs. Rogers, and the General MacArthur were all not coincidental. They were deliberately done by someone in the house currently. One of them was the killer. Everyone was shocked, but it makes sense. Now, the suspicion level at the house is 100%. Vera, the love of my life, couldn't accept that, but it is what it is. Now, everyone started suspecting Philip Lombard, who is my prime suspect because he had a gun. And the next target is Dr. Armstrong, who isn't on my list, but seems to be a suspect because he is the closest to the death of Mrs. Rogers. Also, Rogers is my suspect too from the past because it is possible he killed his own wife. And then they were known, chapter 10. The Indians on the table turned from 7 to 6. Seems like Rogers is missing now. And from that, we know Rogers is probably dead. When they found him, he was hit in the head with an object. Rogers, who was my prime suspect, is now dead. Now that just leaves Mr. Armstrong and Philip Lombard now. Also, Emily went out for a morning stroll, which is kind of odd because shouldn't she be scared of her life? Except she's the killer, then there's nothing to be scared of. But again, she's old. I don't know if you know, but some old people are not really afraid of death. Chapter 11. Now, Miss Emily was feeling a bit sick, but she was offered something by Dr. Armstrong. She refused, probably due to suspicion. I don't know. Maybe suspicion, I don't know. Then she was left alone in the dining room. Everyone left the house. Time for meeting had come. They were waiting for Miss Emily to come. Since she did not come, they went to look for her and they found out she was dead. Now, who is the suspect? I can't lie to you. I have none. I literally have zero information on their whereabouts. So I can't really tell who came in after everybody left the dining table or left the house. So now there are 5, and one of them is surely the murderer. Dr. Armstrong is the prime suspect in this house because Emily was injected with poison, but there's still no proof it was him. And the doctor didn't have any poison with him, but all medications in high doses can be poison. So they searched the whole house for Philip's gun since it had been missing, but they couldn't find it. Now it's nighttime. No lights because Rogers wasn't there to power the generator since he had gone. So everywhere was dark, but they got candles lit up the house. Vera got tired of sitting down, so she wanted to go to her room. Then as she got there, thinking she saw someone, she screamed. Everyone rushed upstairs, but it was just seaweed on her shoulders. Everyone is now upstairs except one person, the judge. Where is he? They all called his name. No answer. They went downstairs and found him. Dr. Armstrong specifically looked at him and confirmed he was dead. Probably during the rushing to help Vera, the killer got him. Now only four remained, and one of them is the killer. Who is it? For me, Vera is cleared, but Dr. Armstrong is now my top suspect. He always seems to pop up when the murder is close. Not bad, not so much, cause I don't really trust him, but I don't really know. Blur, we'll see. Blur started to wonder where the gun was now. They were all suspicious of each other. Philip Lombard discovered the gun in his room. They all went to their consecutive rooms. Blur heard a sound outside his room. Along the corridor, someone was trying to sneak out. Opening the door was kind of risky because what if that was a trap and the killer was trying to get him? But he decided to look outside anyway, so he gently opened his door to check. He saw the shadow leaving the house. He wanted to go and run to check, but that would have been a foolish mistake. He could have been lured outside and killed, so he checked others' room to find out who was in there. Everyone was in that room except Dr. Armstrong. Now everyone was out to find Dr. Armstrong, but they thought he had a gun, so they had to be careful. Philip said he was with the gun, not Armstrong. Blur's face changed. Yeah, with the gun? But Philip went anyway to look for Dr. Armstrong and Blur followed. Now it turns out Dr. Armstrong vanished from the island. Everyone was confused. How could that have happened? And now, instead of 3 Indians, there were 4. I'm at this point, personally, where I'm thinking it's Armstrong who was the killer. But also, the Indian disappearing doesn't mean he's the killer. But it could also be a trap too. I don't really know. I personally don't know if Philip was the killer. Why would he have a gun and tell you he has a gun if he was the killer? Blood tried to convince Philip to let go of the gun, but he refused. Vera thinks Armstrong isn't dead. He probably is in the island somewhere, hiding. After a while, it was afternoon. Blood wanted to go eat, which means he had to go back to the house, leaving both Vera and Philip, who has a gun. Philip said there was no need to be afraid. He wouldn't shoot Vera. In fact, if he wanted to kill both of them, he would have killed them since he already had the chance to do it, but didn't. So Blur left for the house. Blur is suspicious of Philip. Philip is suspicious of Blur. Vera, just like me, is suspicious of Armstrong, that he's still hiding somewhere. Now, after Blur left for the house, they heard something like an earthquake and a cry. Philip went to investigate. Vera followed him, and it came from the house. As soon as they got there, they found Blur's head crushed by a white marble. So Blur is now dead. It's just Vera and Philip, and maybe Armstrong, who is hiding somewhere in the island. So my bet is still on Armstrong. My bet is still on Armstrong for being the killer. Now, Philip suggested that they go up the mountain and wait for Armstrong. Philip suggested that they don't sleep, that they stay outside, and that he will shoot anyone who comes near. Now, something by the river got their attention. They decided to go investigate, and it turns out it was Dr. Armstrong dead. How? So who is the killer now? I don't understand. Who was the killer? Who could have moved that chair? The book said it was Mr. Justice Wargrave. That is the judge. But how did he do it? How did Mr. Justice Wargrave, that was dead few hours ago, how was he able to do this? Well, it turns out he confessed in a letter in a bottle. He said the murders which happened were perfectly timed, even in order. It was based on how guilty they were. And those who were less guilty died earlier. Dr. Armstrong and Mrs. Rogers died first. Why potassium cyanide was used? Because it was easily obtained, because it was used for killing wasps. So he slipped into Marston's jar, and the general died painlessly. He said he selected Dr. Armstrong because he was gullible and he knows he would suspect Lombard. So he planned with Dr. Armstrong to fake his own death so he could operate and find the killer without any of them knowing. But that was a very bad error on Dr. Armstrong's case because that made Dr. Armstrong to be framed. Now, Mr. Justice Wargrave stole the gun and returned it, and he also pushed Armstrong off the cliff. He attacked Rogers, he attacked Blow, doing all this and running back to the bed to pretend like he was dead. And eventually, he took his own life in the exact same spot he was put. So now that's the greatest mystery of all time. To be honest with you, I really could not have guessed this. I really didn't know it would have been Mr. Justice. Because, first of all, the way the book framed it, if you check, Justice was not really mentioned a lot. His whereabouts was not really mentioned. The only time you usually saw him was during the time of 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 judgment. He really didn't have an alibi, and that's why I think none of our minds could go to him. But apart from that, I don't think you even suspect him pretending to be dead. Dr. Lombard was really gullible, to be honest, because everybody's supposed to be a suspect. Justice even told them that nobody should be left unturned. Like everybody's a suspect. And wow. Well, that just shows us that trusting authority is the greatest scam ever. So thanks. I would like to know what you have in mind. Maybe like a comment or something, whatever you want to say. You can say it in the comment section. Also, feel free to like and subscribe. Feel free to like and subscribe if you want to. Thank you.